I'm Susan. Today I'm showing how I made the tags for my tag swap partners. I participated in the tag swap hosted by Carol of Oak House Journals, and it's a lot of fun. This is the second time I've participated, and here I'm just taking this scrapbook paper, a heavy cardstock scrapbook paper, and I'm just adding some little pieces that I'm cutting from this digital. This digital came from Mrs. Cox Crafts, and I'm just trying to figure out what goes with this. I have enjoyed doing this tag swap and the one before it. It gets you a little out of your comfort zone, but it's so worth it. And I received beautiful tags from the first and second tag swap. So they've gotten their tags by now. So I'm just showing how I went about making it. And be sure and check out Carol's channel. She is so talented. She amazes me with the detail of her projects, and I love watching her. And I really think you will too. She just has such style and taste. So here I'm just trying out a few fussy cuts and seeing what works. One of my tag partners liked red, and the other one liked blues, green with a touch of pink. So that's what I'm kind of going with. And they both loved vintage style. So I'm going with that. And by the way, I hope everybody's doing great. I hope that everything's just going peachy keen for you. We've been getting a lot of rain here the last couple of days, and it's gotten pretty warm. But I'm not going to complain yet. So here I'm just adding some texture paste to my tag. A little bit of the paint kind of came through that was left on my stencil, but it really won't matter because I have an idea of stuff I was going to do with it anyway. So I go ahead and I dry my tags, and sometimes it helps when you dry them from behind as well. And in all my inking, I've been using vintage photo. Now I decide I'm going to kind of put a little border around the photos. That was one of the prompts, was using a photo. And so that's what I do. I just find colors that match, and I just glue it down and just trim it so that it's got that border so that the photo will stand out a little more. If I'm not mistaken, I believe I got these photos from Graphics Fairy. I just kind of adjusted the size back when I downloaded them. It's been a while, probably about a year ago, that I found them. And I took a whole bunch of pictures, downloaded a whole bunch of the free photos, and I had them in my stash. So it's nice to get these out and use them. And once I get through inking this, I just kind of play around with the elements that I have just to see what works for me, and just trying it out. I'm really drawn to this vintage style, and I love making most of the things I make is vintage. Although I do have a soft spot for steampunk and grunge, and also like gothic. And I don't do a lot of those types, especially the gothic and the steampunk, but it just has a beauty all of its own. I know gothic is kind of dark and everything, but I guess it kind of reminds me of my mom used to have these old books when I was a kid back in the late 60s, early 70s, where, you had the woman running from the spooky looking mansion, and on the hill. And I don't know, I always found beauty in that. So I'm kind of drawn to it, but my main style is doing this vintage. But to be honest, I'm drawn to any kind of beautiful images, and I like funny and quirky type stuff as well, although I use that more in my collage rather than my, ephemera making. So I get everything laid out and glued down, and I'm getting pretty pleased with how it's looking. And now it's just kind of time to add a little embellishment to this to just really make it pop. Now I use blue thread around the blue tag and red thread around the red tag, and now I'm going to use this gilding paste and go over the texture paste that I had put down before. And this texture paste, I got it at Michael's, and I like the color, but it dries out. So every time I have to use it, I just spray a little water in it, and that works pretty good. And I like the gold so well, I decided to edge the tag with it. And I really like how this turned out. Now the back of the tag, I use Vintage Photo and I ink that, but I really wasn't happy with the white. And so I end up using some coffee dyed paper that I have. And if I realized that's what I was going to do, I would have added it before sewing it. But like I said, I was just going to use the back of this tag, but it just didn't look right. So I just went with the coffee dyed paper. So once I glue it down, I just cut it out and then I distress around it again. Now just kind of clip those corners like Rachel of Roxy's Creation does. It just kind of gives it more of a finished look. And I add gold eyelets at the top. And I will be adding some kind of a cream crochet lace as the topper. I find some washi stickers that I have and I add that to the back just to give it that little oomph. Now I add a charm and a bead using the Tim Holtz little tiny safety pin. And I think that just adds a little bit of something to the top. Now for the finishing touch, I add these little tiny fabric roses. The blue one was bigger than what I had in red, so I used 2 for the red and 1 for the blue. And I just add them with Fabri-Tac. And I really love how these tags turned out. I think they turned out pretty. And both of my partners liked them, so I'm happy for that. That's what's important. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't. Ring that bell so you can be notified when I upload new content. Leave a comment. Tell me what you think. Y'all have a great and wonderful day. Be sure and check out Carol's channel at Oak House Journals. And until next time, bye, y'all.